there, and Crystal Fashion will win it by about a half a length.
Well, if you go up against Oka Sponstead, you better be confident you have plenty of horse to get on by, because that's pretty much his trademark. He won't let you get on by.
We told you it'd be a great race, a good battle, and it was a true slugfest through the lane, and Crystal Fashion was the eventual winner there. He didn't get it done in the Hamiltonian final last year, so it's a little comeuppance, I guess, for him today.
Fourth win in 8 starts this year for Crystal Fashion, a 4-year-old gelding by Cantab Hall, the winner of 9 of 17 last year, and over $1.5 million. All right, we are just getting started on Hambletonian Day 2019. We'll return in a moment.
The 2019 Hamiltonian Stakes on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by New Jersey Travel and Tourism. Go to visitnj.org.
Always special winning on Hambletonian Day. It elicits a smile from Hall of Famer David Miller, getting the job done with Crystal Fashion, who, by the way, won the first elimination as the favorite last year in the Hambletonian and wound up, well, wasn't in the favorite in the elim, but was the favorite in the final, where he wound up finishing 4th, but he was an elim winner in last year's Hamiltonian.
And Gary, that truly was a Hall of Fame drive. The second Cashman win for driver David Miller. He won it back in 1999 with Black Magician. And what a super day for these connections all around. Earlier on the card in the 2-year-old colt trot, the Peter Houghton Memorial, these guys teamed up to win with Real Cool Sam, the owner, the trainer, and the driver here. Real Cool Sam, you know who he's named after? Our late colleague, Mr. Sam McKee.
And you saw in the winner's circle there, owner, breeder, Jules Siegel of Fashion Farm. He and his late wife, Arlene, founding Fashion Farms and having so much success over the years. And the late John Cashman Jr.'s wife, Nancy, there, his son, John III, also his daughter, Susan, the only guy missing this year, New York Yankees general manager Brian Cashman. He's dealing with, I think, a doubleheader today at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. They've got a little series with the arch rivals, the Boston Red Sox, this weekend, so that will occupy his time. But I got a feeling the phone's already rung, and they've given him the result and how special it was for these connections as well. Crystal Fashion really earned it today. What a magnificent performance.
All right, time to shift our attention now to our big race, the Hambletonian. We still have the Oaks coming up, but we want to take a look at the Hambletonian Eliminations contested a little bit more than an hour ago. In here, we had, I'd say, the more open of the two, but also possibly the weaker of the two, in the sense that one of the leading contenders, Green Shoe, the heavy favorite in his elimination, was in the next one, race number 9. But this is race 8, Dave.
This is race 8, and you see the bettors have clearly made a statement here. They are making the undefeated Jim Pansy with 12 for 12 slate the overwhelming favorite at odds of 2-5. That is one of the two in here, trained by Marcus Melander. The other is number 8, Green Manalishi here, and we'll see how this, whether or not they can overcome the outside post as we pick it up right at the start here. Lots of levers from the outside, and watch Brian Sears with number 7, Jim Pansy. He's in a tough spot here, Gary. He ended up not going on with it right there, but Tim Tetrick, in the colors of the owner, Courant Incorporated, goes for it with Green Manalishi. He's going to take a brief seat. On the inside, you see driver Scott Zeron with a 1 Cantab Fashion protecting his position. On the outside, Ostert at odds of 30-1 are going to press on with it. That is Yannick Gingras, and they're going to make it to the front past that very fast first quarter, 26-3. That equals the fastest ever here in the Hambletonian. Ostert at 30-1 takes over. On the inside, Cantab Fashion sitting third, Summit in sight. Green Manalishi sits fourth, but he's ready to pull the trigger.
All right, we'll pick up the last half with track announcer Ken Workington.
They're at the half. It's Osterch in front there. 30-1 long shot in 54-4. Pretty strong pace for Osterch as they race to the far turn. And now on the outside, here comes Green Manalishi, and Tim Tetrick's got him in gear. Now second on the outside. Cantab Fashion is third with 3/8 to go. Swandre the Giant fourth on the outside. Summit in sight is fifth. And Jim Pansy has some work to do, gapping his cover at third over sixth. And he is stride for stride with Soul Strong on the inside is pinned in. And the trailer as they pass 3/4 is Mr. Victor. At 3/4, Green Manalishi on the outside. Osterch trying to go all the way. 123. It's a well-rated Osterch in front. Osterch, Green Manalishi on the outside, pouring it on. Cantab Fashion and Scott Zeron from the inside, full out. Then it's Swandre the Giant, and Jim Pansy gets in gear late. Osterch under heavy pressure. Getting to him is Green Manalishi. Green Manalishi inching in. Green Manalishi! And then Osterch, and flying late was Soul Strong right there with Jim Pansy. And then close Cantab Fashion or Swandre the Giant, 150-3.
Well, if you're a fan of Fleetwood Mac or even the band Judas Priest, which is owner Anders Strom's favorite band, that's Judas Priest, you'll recognize this name, Green Manalishi. It is a Fleetwood Mac tune, and Green Manalishi comes away with the win in the first Hambletonian elimination after a first over trip.
It was a tough trip, Gary. He earned it to overcome that outside post. He's battling it out on the outside with the long shot leader. That's Osterch, but look at Tim Tetrick dig in and ask for his best. He's going to get that response. There's Jim Pansy, the big favorite on the in-between horses, and Soul Strong comes out of nowhere after saving ground. He had the best late kick, but here you go, Gary. We've got a 9-1 upset in our first Hambletonian elimination.
So Green Manalishi picking up his third win in 5 starts this year. Current Incorporated of Delray Beach, the owner, and again, that's Anders Strom, Current Incorporated. There is a look at what we have coming up in the first elimination as far as the order of finish is concerned, and the top 5 advance to the final.
And fourth and fifth were Jim Pansy and Cantab Fashion. But Gary, what's most important about winning your Hambletonian elimination is that you are guaranteed post protection. You will draw for a post 1 through 5 there, so Green Manalishi doesn't have to worry about that. Jim Pansy may have to worry about it after what I would have to call a disappointing performance. The winner, though, he cost a lot of money. He was Swedish bred, and he cost 3 million kroner to buy at public auction. It set a record that equates to about 365,000 US. So Mr. Strom, Courant Incorporated, they buy good horses.
They sure do, and they buy a lot of them. In the meantime, race number 9, our second elimination for the $1 million Hambletonian final. And here is the horse that some people feel might be the second coming of Muscle Hill, who won the Hambletonian in 2009 and was the last 3-year-old trotter to be named Horse of the Year.
Green Shoe had a troubled 2-year-old season where he won 2 of his 4 starts and made breaks in every race. This year as a sophomore, Gary, he's been the perfect gentleman thanks to the driving of Brian Sears, who really, gets along with this horse. Now here's the start. Watch Green Shoe in the middle of the pack there throw his head a couple of times. That had to give Mr. Sears a couple of fits, but he gets him away safely in the middle of the pack. We expected to see big-time speed from Marseille as he loops the entire field into the first turn for Oka Svanstad. But once we were into that first turn, trainer Marcus Melander feels better. He gets so nervous at the start of Green Shoe's races, Gary, he doesn't even watch. He just listens to Ken Workington's call.
And so as they move on to the backstretch now, we've got 2 long shots here, but Green Shoe is in such a perfect position. Brian Sears doesn't have to worry about being locked in. Nobody's coming. He closes the gap in third and will eventually take off and go after the leader.
Interesting move right there by second place Forbidden Trade Bob McClure. He came to the outside to try and push the issue. He went back in, but we all know the big move from Green Shoe is coming imminently.
And you will see that as we pick up the second half call. Once again, here is track announcer Ken Workington.
Off stride. Half was a rated 56 seconds. Aki Svanstad and Marseille riding along here by 2.5 lengths. But here comes Green Shoe in gear. Green Shoe charging up on the outside and up and after Marseille with 3/8 to go. And live cover for Don't Let Him now third and gaining. Forbidden Trade is back to 4th. That's Pilot Discretion getting in gear on the outside 5th. Reign of Honor is 6th. And Green Shoe takes the lead with authority and opens up by 2 on Marseille. Green Shoe, Marseille, Don't Let Him third on the outside. 3/4 123 and 3:27 and 3 in that third quarter. Green Shoe opens up by 3.5 4. Don't Let Him on the outside of Marseille. Those 2 sparring for second. Forbidden Trade is third. Pilot Discretion on the outside. Angles out for a late bid, but it's Green Shoe. He's wrapped up and cruising here for Brian Sears. Green Shoe puts his best foot forward, and it's Green Shoe a convincing winner. And then close between Don't Let Him or Forbidden Trade, and then Pilot Discretion and Marseille. Green Shoe sets the tone here, 150-2.
And Green Shoe with a huge performance today for Brian Sears and just basically cruised to the wire.
As advertised, Gary, he delivered the goods once he safely navigated this start for Brian Sears under that expert Hall of Fame handling. And I'll tell you what, the final time wrapped up, as you heard in Ken Workington's call, was 150 2/5. That is 1/5 off the Hambletonian record set by Muscle Hill 10 years ago. Look at Brian Sears here. This is a nice, easy coast. That's exactly what you want for the first of his 2 races today.
Well, owner Anders Strom now has 3 in the Hambletonian final, all starting with the letter G. Why? Well, he names crops of horses with the first letter the same, and in 2016, that letter was G. Green Shoe taking the second Hambletonian elimination. Again, a live look at the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, New Jersey. A beautiful day. And Dave, as you pointed out earlier, yeah, it's warm. We're warm here on the set. But horses are used to this. They spend outside all day, and there's plenty of water buckets, plenty of water hoses. They are feeling good. The fact that they have to race twice the Hamiltonian horses today, not an issue. You can ask any of the trainers, and they will tell you the same.
Gary,
there's a look at the current Hamiltonian odds.
And 3 to 5, that's the morning line on Green Shoe that I just made from the set a couple of minutes ago. After they drew the final post here, that was Brian Sears' choice. Jim Pansy will now be driven by Dave Miller in the final.
All right, so We are going to take a quick break right now. We've got the Hambletonian Oaks for $500,000 coming up after a quick break. You're watching Hambletonian here on CBS Sports Network. Welcome back. It's the new Meadowlands, but not so new anymore. It's been around 5-6 years now, but nonetheless, it's a great venue, and there is a packed house today, Dave Brower.
Because the weather is so nice, that has brought the fans out in force. It's why we call it harness racing's greatest day, Gary, and there's something for everybody here today. The hat contest, some live music, the food trucks, and you know what? We've got the FanDuel Sportsbook here as well, where they have Hambletonian prop bets like the Super Bowl. So, like I said, a little something for everybody.
Well, here's a little something for everybody. A 2-to-1 shot in Millie's possession. Evident Beauty not far behind. And When Doves Cry, the faster of the two Oaks elimination winners, is currently 2-to-1 as well.
Well, we just saw Jim Campbell in the winner's circle for the Cashman, and he's got the filly to beat. And there she is, the magnificent Millie's possession with her undefeated record at 8 for 8. She also is owned and was bred by Jules Siegel of the Fashion Farms as well. Dexter Dunn is the backup story here, Gary. He's in his first full season driving in North America. The New Zealander has caught on like a flash. He's got one of the top 3-year-old pacers that will race later today in the Cane Pace in Better's Wish, but he has driven this horse perfectly. So let's take a look at last week's elimination, and folks, I'm going to set you up for what will be an epic stretch duel here as they turn for home in the elimination last Saturday. There is Millie's Possession on the lead, digging in with Dexter Dunn, but here comes another top filly. That's Evident Beauty. That's Dave Miller for Nifty Norman. Watch Millie's Possession dig in with the heart of a champion to fend off Evident Beauty. You don't see too many good finishes like that, but that was a great one. They clicked the time in 1:52.3. There's the slow-mo, the winning margin ahead.
Well, the trainers of these two, Evident Beauty and Millie's Possession, no stranger to Oaks wins. Jim Campbell won it in 2009 with Broadway Schooner, and Nifty Norman's won it a couple of times, including with 2013 Horse of the Year, Be a Magician. All right, let's head over to Greg Blanchard. He is standing by with Jim Campbell.
Thank you, Gary. Jim, what an afternoon already, winning the Houghton and the Cashman, now trying to get it done here in the Hambletonian Oaks with Millie's Possession. Tell us about this filly. I mean, it doesn't seem like she wins by any more than she has to.
She's just a true professional. You know, she knows more than I do. She knows what she has to do, and she's just been super for us so far. You know, hopefully she can continue it again here today. But no matter what happens, she's a professional. She's a really good filly, and you know, I'm blessed to be training her.
And you never truly know how much fight they have in them until they're tested, and that was the case last week.
She's stepped up to the plate a couple different times, and especially last week. You know, Evident Beauty, who is very, very top-notch filly, looked her in the eye, and you know, Millie dug in, and you know, it sets up as a really good race. There's some really good fillies in here.
I know this is a big day for your family, the Hambletonian Day, and the success you've had. I want to wish you the best of luck again in this one.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it.
Back to you guys.
All right, so Greg Blanchard, thanks, and there's Jim Campbell already with the huge day, looking for even more. We are just moments away from the 2019 edition of the Hamiltonian Oaks, $500,000 on the line. We'll have it for you when we return. And young and old, they're here at the Meadowlands today on a beautiful afternoon in New Jersey, just moments away from the 2019 Hambletonian Oaks, a race that has been contested since 1971. We told you about Millie's Possession. The actual favorite here now, Dave, at 8-5 is When Doves Cry. And as I pointed out earlier, the faster of the two elimination winners last week, going practically wire to wire in a lifetime best, 151-3. There is a look at Evident Beauty, and David Miller trying to give trainer Nifty Norman his third win in this race, having won it with a 57-1 shot personal style, and then with 2013 Horse of the Year and the heavy favorite Be a Magician.
And she will be coming from off the pace today, Gary. I think that's the way they want to race her. There's When Doves Cry. She will be up and on or near the lead here. An easy winner of her elimination, the faster one last week in 151-3. Simon Allard will try to get her the trip that she needs.
All right, time for the Hambletonian Oaks. They're going after $500,000. Let's send it up to Ken Workington.
Hambletonian Oaks final for 2019, presented by the Gary family, and it's race 11, the Hambletonian Oaks. Field of 10, here they come. And they're off and trotting with Princess Deo out fast on the outside. Asiago, When Doves Cry. Simon Allard sends her to the front here. Southwind Kasha steps out sharply, so it's Southwind Kasha on the inside engaging When Doves Cry. They round the first turn. Evident Beauty got away well in third. Millie's Possession, the undefeated filly, is fourth and looks to be out and on the move. And it's a three-wide surge from Princess Deo, fifth on the outside past the quarter. Then comes Sonic Grace. Asiago on the outside and Sweet Chapter on the rail, and Queen of Tricks is, and the early trailer is Miss Trixton. First quarter up was hot, 26 4/5 across the backstretch. Southwind Kasha, 55-1 bomb, but here comes When Doves Cry to the front here. When Doves Cry takes it away from long shot Southwind Kasha across the backstretch. Millie's Possession anxious to go on there. She is third as they near the half. Evident Beauty is fourth. Will look to follow her. To the outside, Princess Dale. Stride, Sonic Grace saving ground. And then it's Sweet Chapter on the inside with Asiago on the outside, and Queen of Tricks is, and Miss Trixton. The half up in 54-4. A solid pace here. When Doves Cry, the fastest elimination winner, leads the way onto the far turn with 3/8 to go. Here comes Millie's Possession on the outside, getting in gear with Dexter Dunn, soon to be second as they head to three-quarters. Southwind Kasha locked in the box third, and Evident Beauty on the outside needs to do more fourth, but she's inching a bit closer, still 4 lengths from the lead here. And dropping back on the inside, Sonic Grace is fifth. Three-quarters in 1:23 into the stretch of the Hambletonian Oaks. When Doves Cry scoots off by 2, now 3. Millie's Possession is full out in second. Evident Beauty is on a break here. Asiago's closing in for third and looking for second. She's closing fast. When Doves Cry. Poetry in motion here with Simon Allard in the Hambletonian Oaks. It's When Doves Cry, then Millie's Possession, Asiago, and Miss Trixton. When Doves Cry, 150-2.
When Doves Cry, again the faster of the two elimination winners last week. She should be named When Doves Fly. She was absolutely flying, and once she took over, the outcome really was never in doubt.
She was so special in her Meadowlands debut last week with Simon Allard aboard, and I thought she would be even stronger today, Gary. The Connections had a plan. They said they'll start their year with the Oaks. They hope to race her right through to the end of the season in the Matron. She scoots away from Millie's Possession, who was forced to grind on the outside. And here comes 13-1 long shot Asiago with Tim Tetrick. It's going to make it close for second, but she will end up third. An easy win for When Doves Cry. Unbelievable effort and great job by the horsemen and Connections involved.
You know, she won all but about $35,000 of her $326,000 lifetime earnings last year as a 2-year-old. And as a matter of fact, the Hambletonian Oaks Elim was her first stakes event of the year. Now she's won the Elim and the final, and both most impressively.
And like I said, that was by design, and she was an expensive yearling. We've got that as a theme for the day. She cost the Connections and owners $205,000 to bring her home from the Lexington Select sale a couple of years ago. She's owned by the Go Fast stable of Ohio, Saracen, Singh, and Larry Dumaine.
What an incredible job by her Connections. When Doves Cry takes the $500,000 Hambletonian Oaks. And welcome back to the Meadowlands, where When Doves Cry takes the $500,000 Hambletonian Oaks in a brilliant effort.
It was unbelievable, Gary. We found out which filly was best as of today. Simon Allard, 37-year-old, wins the Hambletonian Oaks for the first time here. When Doves Cry, a magnificent daughter of Muscle Hill out of the mare Cedar Dove. She was bred by the late Bill Weaver, a name that we all know in the sport of harness racing here, and she certainly showed why she cost so much money. And look at her there taking a drink on this warm day. That, like we said, those conditions are in place. All of these horses are professional athletes as well. And let's see who ended up being the favorite, Gary. We're going to get a couple of new prices here. They're on board.
Well, there they are. And When Doves Cry, $660 for the win. And Millie's Possession just, wasn't a match for her today.
No match. And she had the tougher trip when she had to attack on the outside. As for the winner, When Doves Cry, that is the 4th straight Hambletonian Oaks, where the winner was sired by Muscle Hill.
2009 Horse of the Year, 2009 Hambletonian winner. And there's a look at John Campbell, somewhere in that group, I believe.
Yeah. Right there on the right.
All right, yeah, we're looking, right at the back of his head there. And that's what most of the drivers used to see in the races, particularly on Hambletonian days, was the back of John Campbell's head as he crossed under the wire first.
Yes, and he is now the president of the Hamiltonian Society, so he's directing all that mess there.
All right, let's head down to Greg Blanchard with the winning connections.
Thank you, Gary. Simon Allard, you're a Hambletonian Oaks champion. How does it feel?
It feels awesome. We work hard and come from a long way, Small town. My parents are here. A lot of people that help us out, like Eve Sarazan is here, the part owner, and Cap Singh, and everybody that, it takes a lot of babies to make it, to have a good one like this.
Certainly family involvement. You've got your daughter here with you. That's fantastic. And, last week this filly really impressed in her elimination, but it was going to be a lot tougher today going against the undefeated Millie's Possession.
Yeah, she's a good filly, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but kind of like the 5-0. I knew I could have probably gotten a better spot than she did, so that's what exactly happened. Like, I thought I'd be 1-2 with David, and Millie would come first over, and that's what exactly happened, but it's not always the way we think.
You had to use your filly pretty hard for early position. Were there any concerns that the fractions maybe were too strong?
It's so fast today. A lot of horses win on the front end. Beautiful track. Horses are sharp, and if they're good and they're the best, it don't matter where they sit. I think they're just actually the front end. It really helps today.
Congratulations. We'll let you go enjoy the celebration.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
All right, Greg, thanks so much. And again, congratulations to the winning connections of When Doves Cry. Let's take a look at the full order of finish here. And Millie's Possession, second best. Asiago with a great late trot kick.
Big late rally. And there was one other trainer that had 2 in here, 26-year-old Lucas Wallen. He's going to finish 5th and 6th with Princess Deo, and Queen of Tricks is here. When Doves Cry, a spectacular performance. The plan has worked to perfection.
All right, so When Doves Cry comes away with a big win, first win for the Allard brothers.
And we're even right now. You had the winner of the Cashman Memorial with Crystal Fashion at a nice big upset, and I had the winner of the Oaks. So it'll come down to the Hambletonian to see who's the best handicapper on the show today.
Well, why don't I have that cash in my pocket? Oh, wait, because we're doing a show. Anyhow, we'll be back. We'll have a trophy presentation in the Hambletonian. We'll have the Hambo trophy when we come back. We'll do that as we go to break. Let's take a look at that. It's a beautiful trophy. We're going to take a break. When we return, somebody's walking away with that today. Who will it be? It could be a horse that starts with the letter G. Well, tonight at 10 Eastern, CBS Sports Network is live from Las Vegas for the World Team Tennis Finals. Don't miss it as Springfield battles New York for this year's title on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Well, 30 years ago, 1989, the only Hambletonian dead heat, Probe and Park Avenue Joe.
Ron Waples on the inside, Bill Fay on the outside. They're going to come down to the wire in what was one of the most memorable calls of announcer Tom Durkin's career. Too close to call when they went under the wire. There's a picture of the photo finish print, Gary. I was the official teletimer of this race, so I started and stopped that clock. When they hit the line, I looked over at my buddy Charlie, who was making that picture. I said, I think we've got a problem.
Well, the problem is that, in fact, we had a dead heat. We had a couple of sets of winners in the winner's circle, making for a lot of people taking up space. But back then it was in the old building. Things were a little more comfy there.
And the judges had such a difficult decision. They ended up placing Park Avenue Joe first by order of summary. Of course, it went to court. It took years to decide, and then they finally made them co-Hambletonian champions.
All right, let's take a look at the current odds for the final of the $1 million Hambletonian. And again, 3 in here for trainer Marcus Melander. That is Green Shoe, Green Matalushi, and Jim Pansy.
Green Shoe, I started him at 3 to 5 on the morning line, but we all know, Gary, he's going to go off at 1 to 5 or maybe even 1 to 9. That is the lowest price possible on the tote board. That means he could pay anywhere from $2.10 to win up to $2.60. He drew post 2 after winning his elimination for Brian Sears. I guess the only thing we really have to worry about again is the start of the race to see if he throws his head or any other antics. Once he gets away safely, though, it will be his race to win, unless, as I said in the open, he beats himself.
What did you think about Pilot Discretion? A bit of a disappointment there, particularly after a very strong elimination.
Yeah, he was good at the end of the mile there. The best thing that happened to him was that he drew the rail for Andrew McCarthy, his dryer. So he will just sit in, save ground, and try to get lucky late. In daytime racing, if you have that inside post, sometimes you just have to keep up.
So Hall of Fame driver Brian Sears, who has 3 Hambletonian wins, the most of any active driver, looking for his 4th, had a choice to make. Jim Pansy or Green Shoe. We kind of figured who it was going to be, but Greg Blanchard caught up with him earlier after the elims and talked about that and other things as well.
Brian Sears, certainly no stranger to the Hamiltonian winner's circle. And coming in today, you had a couple of the big guns going into the elims. Based on how they raced, should we make any assumptions on who you'll pick in the final?
You know, obviously, I might be leaning towards Green Shoe. He's been, you know, he's got such a talent. He's a little bit more work than the other horse, but I'm probably leaning towards Green Shoe.
This colt is being compared to the great Muscle Hill, who you drove, and being a generational talent. Is that a fair comparison at this point?
He's got a lot of work to do to reach that comparison, but Muscle Hill, you know, he pretty much went unbeaten his whole career. This horse, you know, he has some unbelievable gait, unbelievable speed, and you know, he's a joy to drive when he's on his game.
Anything to work on at all prior to the final, or was he flawless?
You know, we're going to talk about a couple things before the race that we might change, but I was pretty happy with him. I think he'll only get better in the second heat.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
That's Brian Sears, guys.
All right, well, you know, Green Shoe obviously is the one to beat here and a prohibitive favorite currently on the odds board. But let's talk about some of the other contenders, because in fact, Dave, this is still a horse race and anything can happen.
It is, and this is a truly good field here, Gary. If we take a look at the top down there, you talked about Pilot Discretion on the rail. The one I really want to key on, though, is the other Melander horses here. Green Manalishi, who was so impressive in his elimination, overcoming that outside post there. He's up on the board right now. Hey, that's the same price he paid in the elim, odds of 9 to 1, but he took a huge step forward today. This is a horse that they started slow with. He eventually got a little bit better. They got him right where they want him now. Can he put a little bit of a scare in his stablemate? I think he can. Jim Pansy, I was disappointed with his elimination, and now that he drew post 7 here, he's going to get a new driver, and I think that will be too tough of a spot for him.
All right, 2 to 5 on Green Shoe, the heavy favorite here in the Hambletonian final. Well, we are getting closer and closer by the moment, and one of the things we need to do to introduce the horses is have the All-Star Buglers. All-Star Buglers, and they are here each and every year on Hambletonian Day, and it's time for us to begin taking a look at the field for the $1 million Hambletonian. And number 1 in the field is Pilot Discretion. And Pilot Discretion, again, a little disappointing in his elimination here. Only 2 starts last year, both wins after getting sick in October. Trainer Tony Alagna decided it was best to end the cold season. He said it may have been the best thing that ever happened to his talented trotter because he came back really good this year.
And there's Tony, and there's Andrew McCarthy, his driver. Pilot Discretion was unbeaten until just a couple of weeks ago when he ran into a monstrous green shoe in the Stanley Dancer Memorial. He's been perfectly prepared by one of the sport's top trainers. He's co-owned by harness mainstays David Anderson and John Federa. And how about this, Gary? Retired IBM Vice President Robert LeBlanc. He's only been in the business a couple of years. He told us to watch for him screaming loudly on the apron.
And there's a look at number 2, and at his head, also trainer Marcus Melander, green shoe, the fastest 3-year-old trotter this year by virtue of his 150-1 win in a division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial. And here today, Hall of Famer driver Brian Sears has won the Hambo 3 times, the most, as I said, of any active driver.
And there's caretaker Michaela Melander, who has been with green shoe since day 1. He entered the day as the horse to beat, and nothing has changed. He's been the perfect gentleman under Melander and Brian Sears' tutelage. This was his choice. Co-owners with Courant, soccer legend Hans Backe, Lars Gronqvist, and Morten Langley. Sears has won 3 Hambletonians before, will today make it 4.
Number 3 is Don't Let 'Em. His sire, Muscle Hill, was the last horse to win the biggest race for 2-year-old trotters, the Peter Houghton Memorial in 2008, and the Hambletonian the following year. This colt has a chance to do the same with a win today, and he set a stakes record in that Houghton win last year.
What a turnaround for this colt over his past few starts. Shoeing changes have worked, and he entered today off the race of his life in the Reynolds last week. Nancy Johansson won a $1 million race in June with a pacer. She'll try to add a Hambletonian.
And a look at number 4, that is Green Manalishi. Great elimination win today. First over, renamed by owner Anders Strom for the Peter Green Fleetwood Mac song of the same name, and covered by the owner's favorite band, Judas Priest. Who knew?
We told you.
Go ahead. Gabe.
We told you about that auction price, about $365,000. A little slow to come around for Melander, but he's turned the corner strongly of late. He wore pop-out earplugs in his last prep, and Tim Tetrick said it scared him, and he almost broke.
And next up is number 5. That is Marseille, the only horse to beat Green Shoe this year, pulling off a 57-1 upset of the heavy favorite in the Beal Memorial for trainer-driver Åke Svanstedt. The Swedish horseman was elevated to the win in the 2017 Hambletonian with Perfect Spirit, who was second that year to What the Hill, the only Hambo winner ever disqualified.
And Marseille is an intriguing finalist here for Mr. Svanstedt. We all remember that story 2 years ago. He had a debacle with Six-Pack last week. He's proven, though, that win in the Beal was no fluke.
Number 6, Forbidden Trade, the 2018 O'Brien Award winner as Canada's top 2-year-old trotter. Trainer Luke Blaise has had 1 Hambletonian starter, Jake in 2017, who failed to make the final.
And he's been kept north of the border so far by his trainer Luke Blaise, who conditions the colt for Serge Godin's determination. 28-year-old Bob McClure is one of Canada's rising star drivers here. This is his Hambo debut, and he's come back from a bad accident earlier this year.
Number 7, Jim Pansy, the 2018 Dan Patch Award winner, is America's best 2-year-old trotting colt. Even though most of his wins have come in New York bred races, he did win the Breeders' Crown against open competition last year, defeating stablemate Green Manalishi in the process.
He suffered his first career loss earlier today in the Elim. He's been campaigned mostly on the New York Sire Stakes circuit, but ended his 2-year-old season with a monster win in the Breeders' Crown. Dave Miller will get the substitute drive for the $1 million final.
And number 8, that is Cantab Fashion. 30-year-old driver Scott Zeron has already won the Hambletonian twice in his career. Last year with the filly Atlanta, the 14th female trotter to win the sport's biggest race. And in 2016 with Marion Marauder, who we saw earlier. And Marauder went on to become the 9th trotting Triple Crown winner.
They've been playing catch-up with this 2-year-old star from last year, but trainer Jim Campbell was very happy with his last performance, says he's getting better and stronger. He'd love to win another Hambo for his longtime client, 92-year-old Jules Siegel. They did it back in 1995 with Tagliabue when Hall of Famer John Campbell drove.
And the 9, that is Sturch, the 2018 Pennsylvania Sire Stakes champion. This colt seems to be his own worst enemy this year, having made breaks in 3 of his last 7 now. He was trained by Hall of Famer Jimmy Takter as a 2-year-old and transferred to Per Engblom's barn following Takter's retirement last year, but he had a much improved elimination earlier today.
Sturch is named after a longtime Takter and Engblom barn hand, Tomas Sturch, who succumbed to cancer earlier this year. This is a homebred for Christina Takter and Goran Falk here, and look who's in the sulky seat. I don't know, Gary, that doesn't look like retirement to me.
No, sure doesn't, but we've seen him in the sulky of late, particularly when we get closer and closer to Hambletonian Day. And number 10 in the field to round things out, Soul Strong, winless in 8 starts as a 2-year-old, and the field's lowest money earner, 60-year-old trainer-driver Otis Fonstead, in his 6th season of racing in North America after moving from the U.S. to Sweden, and he was named Sweden's Trainer of the Year 5 times, Driver of the Year on 3 occasions.
And both Svanstead horses make the final, but this gelding gets the services of one of North America's hottest new pilots. That is Dexter Dunn. This is his first year in the States, and he's made a big splash. He won an earlier race this afternoon. We will see if Soul Strong can overcome the worst post possible, but he was flying late in his elimination, Gary.
He came from out of the clouds in the Elim and really showed some strong late trot there, so don't overlook him. He'll be a huge price and is a pretty big price at 15-1 currently. All right, we're going to take a break. You've taken a look at the field for this year's Hambletonian final, going for $1 million. The race is straight ahead. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. The 94th Hambletonian, straight ahead, current odds, and Green Shoe really hasn't moved much on the board at 2-5. Don't let him, though. Are you surprised at 11-1?
I am, but that's about what I made him in the morning line, 10-1. He was okay in his elimination, so he safely got it into the final. They may change strategy here, Gary, with Don't Let Him, and try and fire out with some more speed. There is Yannick Gingras. We know of his bad luck in the Hambletonian. Could this be the year where he springs an unlikely upset? Well, that would be wonderful for his connections. Again, the shoeing changes have worked. They've gone to plastic shoes up front, and they've switched him behind from steel to aluminum. That lightens him up quite a bit, and the horses responded tremendously.
All right, as we saw in 1989, that amazing dead heat, the only one in Hambletonian history between Park Avenue Joe and Pro. But we've been talking so much about Muscle Hill today. For that, let's once again bring in Greg Blanchard. Greg.
Well, thank you, Gary. Yes, it was 10 years ago when Muscle Hill completed Operation Hambletonian for trainer Greg Peck and driver Brian Sears. He set the stakes record of 150-1 on that day, a record that still stands today, and his stamp is all over the Hambletonian this year. In fact, 22 overall starters sired by him on today's program, and 6 of them going into the Hamiltonian Eliminations. Muscle Hill was considered a generational talent, and we'll see today if Green Shoe can be the next one of those. Guys?
All right, Greg, thanks so much. And obviously, the crowd believes that will be the case, 1-5. There is Green Manalishi right now, and another Muscle Hill as we take a look at some of the horses out there getting ready to go. Some of the records as well, the Meadowlands racetrack records, and obviously you work with these every single racing night here at the track. 150-1, Muscle Hill, Brian Sears, and that is the stakes record.
You heard Greg reference that as it still stands today. We will see. A lot of people have talked about possibly the first sub-150 Hambletonian. We know that Green Shoe is a horse with that kind of talent and ability, but I will say this, Gary. Brian Sears doesn't usually care about track records. He has said that many times in the past. He just wants to win. However, another quote when it talks about Green Shoe there, he has said, this horse has gears that others don't. That's high praise from Brian Sears here. I'm sure he feels very, very confident, but he'll be holding his breath until they get through that start with no issues. That's the key to the race, the start of when the gate snaps. If the horse is responding and if he's trotting out smoothly, he's going to be awfully tough to beat.
And ironically, he made breaks in all 4 starts as a 2-year-old, but still wound up winning 2 of them. He has, in essence, minded his manners this year, but you are absolutely right. You could see it right at the gate. His head was up and moving more than a driver would want that to happen.
And thank God Brian Sears knows him so well. He'll allow him to do that, but he just trots out smoothly. That is the key. There's a look at number 8. That's Cantab Fashion. That would complete what would be a huge day, of course, for Jim Campbell and the connections there. He tired a little bit in his elimination, Gary, from the rail start. Now he's got post 8. That's not going to help.
And a look at the 10, Soul Strong, who, as we both noticed and everybody else did, came from the clouds, came from out of nowhere, wasn't even in the camera shot till maybe about 25 yards outside the wire.
It was a great drive by Dexter Dunn. He saved ground all the way, angled out in heavy traffic, and once Soul Strong hit his gear, the gelding came storming home in 26-4, Gary. That's the fastest Soul Strong has trotted, 150-4, but post 10, I just don't see how he gets into the race.
All right, well, I was just going to ask you if you thought post 10 might help him out the way he closed so strongly. Would he need just a sizzling pace up front?
Yes, he would.
All right. Well, it's a milestone Hambletonian call this year for the 60-year-old Toronto native Ken Workington. This is his 20th Hambletonian call today. And without further ado, let's send it up to Ken Workington.
Thanks again, Gary. 1-5 here on 2, Green Shoe. Brian Sears looking for his 4th Hambletonian at 7-1. The 7, Jim Pansy taking a bit of action here. Dave Miller, the Hall of Famer, picks up the assignment for $1 million. The 94th Hambletonian, the 2019 Hambletonian, race 12. Here they come.
Yeah, look at his head.
And they're off in the Hamiltonian as Marseille and Oki Svanstead flashing speed. Marseille, forbidden trade from between horses and Osterch on the far outside coming on with Pilot Discretion cutting the corner into the first turn. Marseille to the front again. Pilot Discretion into the second spot, and Green Manalishi assumes third. Forbidden Trade is parked out fourth. Tactor going up with Osterch on the outside fifth. Green Shoe is wedged in sixth right now and slips out in front of Don't Let Him. And then it's Jim Pansy with a slow beginning, followed by Cantab Fashion on the inside and Soul Strong. First quarter was sharp, 26-1. Marseille on the engine out of second. Pilot Discretion. Andrew McCarthy takes over across the backstretch. Green Manalishi and Tim Tetrick tightening in from third towards the half. Forbidden Trade edging to the outside fourth. Looking to follow him is Green Shoe underway fifth on the outside now as they pass the half. Then it's Osterch on the inside. Osterch is followed by a Cantab Fashion stride for stride with Don't Let Him. And then it's Jim Pansy and Soul Strong, the half up in 55 seconds, rated half mile here. Pilot Discretion in front. Green Manalishi now sticks a long neck in front. He forces the issue with Forbidden Trade right there on the outside, but he has stalled. Marseille is pinned in fourth now and forced three wide. Green Shoe needs to get going here, and he's floundering on the rim at this point as they pass three quarters in 1:23 and 2, and it's Green Manalishi who leads them home in the Hambletonian. Green Manalishi and fighting back. Pilot Discretion has more. Marseille on the inside. Forbidden Trade looking for a huge upset. Here comes Green Shoe, unleashed by Brian Sears. Green Shoe with the sharp stretch kick, and he's drawing clear, fighting back. Forbidden Trade on the inside. Green Shoe, Forbidden Trade with a gigantic upset. Forbidden Trade. Green Shoe flying late was Jim Pansy, and Soul Strong 151.
Yes.
Unbelievable. There is so much going on in this Hamiltonian final, Dave Brower. Where do we begin?
We begin at the start, Gary, because like we said, we needed Green Shoe to get a good alert start. He did not get it. He acted up for his driver, Brian Sears, taking a few bad steps, as we would like to say. He never really made a break, but it got him off to a slow start. He was bottled up a little bit early, and I think that made the difference in the race.
Bob McClure has said, I think the sky is the limit for this colt. This is the limit. This is the sky, winning the Hambletonian. He did it today by the smallest of margins. Green Shoe almost coming back for Brian Sears, but was denied by Forbidden Trade.
Now watch post two. You see Green Shoe, looks like he wants to go through the starting gate, Gary. Brian Sears doing everything he can.
And actually, he ran there for a little bit, too, behind the gate.
Maybe we'll see if the judges chart him with a break, but finally he does get him under control, if you want to call it that. But plenty of outside speed from the outside, including the eventual first place finisher, Forbidden Trade. That's Bob McClure. You said Marseille would fire out, and some long shots from the outside.
And Brian Sears, knowing that Green Shoe was very delicate here in the Hambletonian final, had to settle him back, probably farther back than he wanted to at the beginning. And then once he pulled him on the backstretch, he actually got jammed up a little bit by the horse in front of him, too.
He did. It was a nightmare trip. Now, as we settle on the backstretch, that's Andy McCarthy with Pilot Discretion, who has moved to the front there. On the outside, elimination winner Green Manalishi is going to apply some incredible pressure for Tim Tetrick. These two nice colts are going to go at it head-to-head on the final turn. Bob McClure is perfectly positioned from second over. He kicks off his cover as we turn to the top of the stretch, taking aim on Green Manalishi. There's Green Shoe. Looks like he's about to hit his top stride, but we see the heart of a champion, Gary. We see Forbidden Trade dig in like a good horse. There's McClure asking for everything, and he got a lot.
Well, Bob McClure, 28-year-old, making his Hambletonian debut this year. Not unfamiliar, though, with winning at the Meadowlands on Hamiltonian Day. Won the 2018 John R. Steele Memorial for Female Trotters with Dream Together, trained by Luke Blaze. The winning connections here. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll take another look and then wrap it all up here on Hambletonian Day. Coming up next, meet CBS Sports Network at the lanes for the PWBA East Hartford Open as the remaining 6 bowlers compete in the stepladder finals, only on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Well, a look at Forbidden Trade, your 2019 Hambletonian winner, and big price in here, but believers in both Luke Blaze, his trainer, and driver Bob McClure.
The son of Cadabra was bred by Steve Stewart of Hunterton Farms out of Kentucky. Determination, that's the name of owner Serge Godin. His longtime trainer has been Luke Blaze, who's only entered the Hambletonian once before. He comes out on top today, and what a story. 28-year-old driver Bob McClure, who came back from a racing accident earlier this year.
Let's send it over to Greg Blanchard. Greg.
Thank you, guys. And they mentioned that serious accident you were in, Bob, just back in April, not that long ago. Now you're in the Hambletonian winner's circle. Can you describe it?
No, it's hard to put into words. I kept repeating it on the way over, but I don't think it's sunk in yet.
And just walk us through the trip, and especially the last half of the race where it looked like you might get a good piece of it and then at some point win it.
Well, I was really happy with the way the trip was working out. I just didn't know exactly where Green Shoe was. I was hoping he wasn't right on my back, but my horse just raced phenomenal. Luke's done a great job with him, and I couldn't be happier.
Final question, has to be a big thrill to win this for owner Serge Godin.
He invests so much in the business, and Luke does a great job taking care of it, and he's the best owner I've ever driven for. He takes good care of you. He doesn't put any pressure on you, so I'm so lucky to have them.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Bob McClure, guys.
All right, so a look at Forbidden Trade, a $110,000 standard-bred horse sale in Harrisburg. We'll be back to wrap it all up in a moment.
The 2019 Hamiltonian Stakes on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by New Jersey Travel and Tourism. Go to visitnj.org.
All right, let's take a look at the full order of finish here. Green Shoe, a desperate second here, missing by maybe a half a head. Forbidden Trade, the winner. Jim Pansy quietly finishing third, and Soul Strong was strong again in the final. Green Manalishi winding up finishing fifth, a tough day for him. All right, let's head down to Gabe Pruitt, one of the newest members of the team here at the Meadowlands and a talented young broadcaster. Gabe.
Thanks so much, Gary, and pleased to be standing by here with the Winning Connections. Also, John Campbell, President and CEO of the Hamiltonian Society, Mr. Jeff Gorell, our chairman of the new Meadowlands Racetrack, and Jason Settlemore, our general manager. And John, if you'd like to present the winning trophy to the Connections here, trader Luke Blay, and we've got driver Bob McClure.
Luke, Bob, congratulations on a great victory. On behalf of the Hamiltonian Society, its board of directors and staff, the new Meadowlands, Jeff Gorell, Jason Settlemore, and their staff, it's my pleasure to present you the most sought-after trophy in harness racing. Congratulations, great job.
Luke, what were you thinking during the stretch drive there? You had to fight off a very tough horse in Green Shoe. Did you have confidence your colt could get it done?
Yeah, it was, a race is a race. When you're him, you got a chance. And I think my horse, he raced super good in the elimination. He finished strong, and Bob told me, he said, fuck up. I like him in the end. After that, it's anybody's game. I had a big confidence after that.
Bob, pretty great day for your first Hamiltonian drive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Congratulations, guys. That's a story downstairs. Dave and Gary, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Gabe, thanks so much. And what a day again here at the Hambletonian. And Dave, the three races that we had on the show, not one favorite one.
And that's incredible, but it's Hambletonian Day, and anything can happen at this point, though. Forbidden Trade, a true deserving winner of the Hamiltonian, last year's O'Brien champion up in Canada.
All right, so Luke Blaze and Bob McClure both combined for their first Hambletonian victories today, and at a pretty big price as well, $33.80 for the win. That is huge. Well, what a great day we've had. So for Dave Brower, Greg Blanchard, and our entire crew, I'm Gary Seibel saying so long from the Meadowlands, where Forbidden Trade has won the 94th Hambletonian. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. And make sure that you stay tuned for PWBA East Hartford Open. That is coming up next. Take care, everyone.